Greetings, travellers. I bid thee welcome. Welcome back to Castle Gildar, your home for goblins, ghouls and ghosts, where for a night a week, when the clock strikes and the witching hour commences, we gather by the fireplace of our great hall and tell stories often stranger than fiction, of urban myths, legends that refuse to die, and castles. Oh yes, lots of castles. I am the gatekeeper. I shall be your guide this evening. So gather round the fire, friends. Pull your blankets a little tighter. The wind's picking up out there, whispering through trees like it's got secrets it shouldn't share. For tonight, Castle Gildar presents the tale of the Pharos Lighthouse. The night rolls in, off the Irish Sea like a black tide tonight, doesn't it? Fog thick as grief clings to the dunes, swallowing street lights whole. And that wind, hear it moan through the gaps of the old stone, dragging the scent of salt and decay from wrecks long forgotten. Pull your coats closer, closer still. The cold here seeps into the marrow, carrying echoes of men who stood and watched too long against the dark. This isn't some fleeting tale for thrills. It's the grim, salt-crusted legend of Fleetwood's fallen lighthouse keeper, pierced from the town's haunted maritime history, the whispers on ghost walks along the docks, and the folklore that still makes locals glance nervously towards Pharos and lower lights when the beam sweeps the night. Fleetwood's story begins in the ambitious 1830s, when Sir Peter Hesketh Fleetwood dreamed big, a gleaming new port to rival Liverpool, carved from Lancashire's wild coast where Wyre River spills into the sea, to guide ships safely through the treacherous Wyre Channel, shifting sands, hidden bars, and currents that could drag a vessel to splinters. He commissioned 3 lights: the Wyre light out in the estuary, the squat lower lighthouse on the promenade, and the towering Pharos Lighthouse inland, a 93-foot sentinel of red sandstone rising like a giant finger from the heart of the town. Built in 1840, they formed a perfect alignment. Line them up and your ship was safe on its path home. Keepers lived in the shadows of those beams, solitary souls tending oil lamps, climbing iron stairs in endless circles, their lives bound to duty and the sea's cruel whims. One such man, let folklore name him Eli Thorne, though history shrouds his true name in the fog of time, was the keeper at Pharos in the early 1900s, a tall, gaunt figure with eyes hollowed by years of staring into storms. Eli had come to Fleetwood after losing his family to fever back in Liverpool. The lighthouse became his refuge and his prison. Night after night he wound the mechanism, trimmed the wicks, polished the lens until they gleamed like accusing eyes. The beams swept the black water, a steady pulse against the chaos. But the sea takes what it wants. It was a winter's gale in the 1900s something. Records blur the exact date, but old-timers on ghost walks swear it was the kind of storm that ripped roofs from houses and hurled ships onto Russell Beach like broken toys. Eli climbed the spiral stairs as always, boots clanging on iron. the tower swaying in the wind like a drunkard. Fog pressed thick against the glass. Visibility dropped to nothing. Then, through the howl he heard it. A faint, desperate cry from the channel. A ship, perhaps a fishing trawler from the fleet, or a cargo vessel bound for the docks, had struck the sands. Timbers cracked like gunfire, men screamed as waves hammered them under. Eli acted on instinct. He raced down the stairs, lantern swinging, shouting for help that never came fast enough in those pre-telephone days. He ran to the shore, boots sinking in the wet sand, the beam behind him swaying uselessly now. He waded into the surf, rope in hand, trying to reach the floundering boat. But a rogue wave, towering, black, merciless, crashed over. It dragged him under, tumbling like driftwood. They found his body days later, washed up near Lower Lighthouse, bloated and broken, eyes still wide as if staring into the light he'd failed. But death didn't release him. No, it chained him tighter. The lighthouse fell silent for weeks after. Relief keepers reported the lamp dimming without reason, as if a visible hand smothered the flame. Then the footsteps began, heavy, desperate boots climbing the spiral stair, round and round, never reaching the top. Lights flickered in the lantern room when no one was there. The mechanism round itself backwards, defying gravity. Keepers swore they felt a presence, a cold breath on the neck, a shadow taller than any man, standing on the rail, gazing seaward. Folklore deepened the tale. Eli hadn't just drowned. He'd fallen, some say deliberately, guilt-ridden for not saving the crew. Others whispered the ship was a phantom vessel, a wreck from decades earlier, replaying its doom, luring him out in a final act of duty. Now he haunts the alignment of those lights. On stormy nights, when fog rolls in and the beam cuts weak through the murk, people along the promenade glimpse a figure atop the Pharos, silhouette rigid, arms outstretched as though signalling still. His lantern bobs where no light should be, flickering, then gone. Boots echo on the iron stairs of the Lower Lighthouse too, endlessly climbing. Tourists on ghost haunts, or hunts, report sudden chills near Pharos base. Whispers of "hold the course" carried in the wind, and the eerie sense of being watched from above. Even today, in Fleetwood's quieter corners, the legend endures. The lighthouses stand decommissioned but proud, their beams long replaced with modern navigational aids. Yet locals avoid lingering near them after dark. Fishermen swear the lights sometimes misalign on their own, as if Eli still tries to guide ships, or perhaps warn them away from his fate. Ghostwalkers speak of orbs dancing in the fog, boots clanging on empty steps, and a mournful sigh that blends with the sea's roar. So as our fires gutter low, embers hissing like dying waves, remember this from Lancashire's haunted coast. Eli Thorne, or whatever name the sea claimed, died doing his duty. Fell to the depths in despair. History calls it an accident or tragedy. Folklore calls it an unfinished watch. But in Fleetwood, when the wind rises and the fog thickens, what if he's still up there, turning the crank, scanning the black for a ship that never comes? Do you feel that sudden drop in temperature? That prickle like salt spray on your skin? It may not just be the night air. He's closer now, listening, waiting, and the light, it flickers. Maybe it flickers for you. So sleep well now, traveller, but take heed, for our Queen is always watching, waiting, and always in need for another lost soul to join our horde.